to our summer Upper Peninsula wilderness journey. Every year we take you on an adventure into hidden secrets that are uniquely Michigan's UP. This year that adventure takes us to Big Island Lake Wilderness located in the Hiawatha National Forest. With over 5,800 acres and no wheeled vehicles of any kind allowed, getting to any of the 23 lakes can be a test of skill and determination. After that, we head back to town for a celebration of this rugged land's history when we attend Folkfest. And we have a few more surprises to fill our day. So let's get started. When we arrived at the Big Island Lake Wilderness, we were surprised to see 3 other vehicles in this normally vacant area. But when you think about it, 3 vehicles for 5,800 acres means the chances are good that you won't have to worry about seeing another person to ruin your serenity.
Well, as you can probably tell, we've got a real adventure planned for you today. We're just north of Manistee in the Hiawatha National Forest at the Big Island Lake Canoe Wilderness. You start out in a little parking lot like this. We've got to go down a trail about a third of a mile to our first lake. From that lake, we'll go to another lake, and each one you have to transport your kayaks and your gear across, and then you go into the other areas. The campground is out here. Nice area though. Come out here, you got to have the right gear with you. So we'll get into that a little bit as we go along.
We packed each kayak with all the gear we would need for the journey and hiked the 3/4 of a mile back to the first lake where we would begin our adventure.
And that's not bad at all. And this should be the longest portage that we have today. A beautiful area that's out here. We've got multiple lakes. I think there's around 23 lakes that are out here. We're going to be going from lake to lake. We'll probably only take in maybe 3, maybe 4 tops, just to get the feel of the area. It's been quite a few years since we've gotten out here.
Yeah, to do any more, we'd have to camp.
Yes. Yeah, we're not planning on that, but we hope to pull up maybe to one of the campsites, take a look around, show you what they look like. So if you want to come out here and do a little wilderness camping, you can do that too. But right now, we're just going to go ahead and put in. We did bring our fishing rods along. We'll see how it goes and see if we string them up and get them ready. But we just want to get out there and have a little bit of fun and paddle around a little bit.
That would be the greatest. All right.
Before heading into the water, we made sure that we were covered with insect repellent. And if you're wearing shorts, it's a good idea to wear high socks because the trails are full of everything from poison ivy to picker bushes. The 23 small lakes located here range in size from 5 to 149 acres. Some of the lakes are connected by maintained portages, while other of the lakes are remote, making access more challenging, as you will soon see.
We're out here on our first lake. This is called Big Island Lake, the namesake of the area. Right behind the camera right now, there's a huge island that's out here, and then on the other side of that, there's another smaller one. We're going to paddle on through this. Our next lake is going to be Mid-Lake, and once we're on that, we're either going to go south and go into another lake, or we'll go to the east, which there's also a portage there for a lake that goes out that way. We're going to wait till we get over there to find out for sure just which way we want to go. But this gives you an idea. You get out here, you're just out in the wilderness. It's so quiet out here, so beautiful. And I'm going to run into you just a little bit there. But it's just a great area to be out in. Nobody around, although there are other people out here. We did have cars in the parking lot. And we'll probably see some campers maybe out here while we're out here. So we're going to go ahead and get going. As a matter of fact, I see a canoe way at the other end of the lake right there. So there are other people out here, but I don't expect to see too many. So we'll get going here. We're going to head down the south end of this lake.
Currently, there are no permits required for camping or day use in the Big Island Lake Wilderness. Camping at designated campsites is allowed and encouraged. Camping and day use opportunities include off-trail hiking, flatwater canoeing, and fishing. Several portage trails lead into the wilderness lake where fishing and canoeing opportunities exist. Some lakes have no trails leading to them though, so most hiking is cross-country and requires strong orienteering skills.
Well, we're at our first portage. Once we've got onto the lake, we're going over the Mid-Lake from here. Nice thing about this, it's just a quick portage over. It's only about 100 feet from one lake to the other, so should be fairly easy to do.
White birch, maple, and aspen cover the wooded hills that surround the lakes. Berries, mushrooms, and wildflowers grow throughout the region, and a wide range of wildlife and waterfowl, including sensitive species, may be observed but should not be disturbed.
Just about plan on getting a little wet at each portage because it is quite shallow by the shoreline and you need to get in, but you have to get them floating first. So. Probably one of the first things I noticed was that there's really no other sounds than maybe the wind in the trees, some frogs, a few birds, and my paddle in the water. Other than that, there's no road noises. We're way back in the National Forest. Closest road is a gravel 2-track that comes back here to the trailheads. And we've gone back now. We made one portage. We're in the second lake, headed into a third. We're going to look at this portage. From what I understand, it's short but steep. I don't know what that means, but we're going to find out. If it isn't too bad, we'll haul our equipment over and try into the next lake. Otherwise, we may go back to the other end. There's another portage that leads into another lake that'll be easier. Well, they were right. It's short and steep. When we brought the canoes in, or the kayaks in the first time, we actually carried them down by themselves. We carried our equipment separately. Now we've got everything packed in these, and I think if we're going to do this, we'd like to try to keep everything right in the kayaks. But I'll let Denny get out and decide whether you want to try to make this or not.
The decision was made to portage up over the top of this hill. They were definitely right about the steep part, but it was a long way from short. We hauled each kayak to the top one at a time. Loaded with gear, they weighed about 120 pounds apiece. Once at the top, we took a quick break. We were almost to the easy part, going down, or so we thought.
Yeah, this one is definitely steep. Well, when they said steep, they weren't kidding. This one is definitely steep coming up these hills. They have built some wood platforms so you can step on them as you go along. That's how steep it is. You get up the top, was a little bit further ahead here, and then it drops down the other side. It doesn't look like it drops quite as far, so coming back we at least get to go down this part instead of up it. But be prepared if you come this way to have to lift quite a bit of stuff through the portage. You ready to get this thing done? Me neither, but we got no choice. We're only halfway. As we mentioned before, you are out in the wilderness here, and as you can see, it's not unusual to find things that are blocking the trails. It can be a rough experience coming through. You got to plan for this and assume that there's going to be times it gets pretty hard, but you keep on going and you're going to come to what we came to now, and I think you'll change your mind about what it's like coming out here. We've got out 3 lakes, but the portage coming to this lake was a lot rougher. That's the one where we went up and down the hill, and that was a lot rougher than what we figured, and we know we have to go back that way. It's been beautiful coming out here. This is a great place if you can come out for the day or come out and do your wilderness camping out here. And virtually the most busy time of the year is where we're at right now, and we have seen a few people, but not many. There's only, like on this lake, we're at one of the campsites right now. This is the only one on this lake. The lake we came through before this is only one. The one before that, which is one of the largest lakes. Now the lakes out here run between 150 acres for the largest down to about 5 acres. How far did you get?
Right there.
Okay. Well, we're at our last lake-to-lake portage right here. We're going to go across now back to Big Island Lake. And this is really the shortest portage, although it may very well be one of the wetter ones. It's so shallow that you got to get out and pull your kayak along here. One of the neat things about this portage is when you come in and you can see the kayak down there, you walk up a hill, it flattens out and goes right into the next lake. So this lake level is higher than that one, and yet they're only a short distance apart.
We have an old friend that we haven't seen in years. His name is Jack Swope, and Jack loved the wilderness and would often put his feelings to poetry that made your spirits high and make you long to be where he had wrote about. I think this must be that place. Here's Jack Swope telling his story.
I love calm days when the water has a reflection. It's a time when everything stops and you can see the blue sky, the trees and the hills, and yourself off the clear water. It's Mother Nature's way of saying, yes, it is all real. I don't know what I like best about a calm, still lake. The quietness when all you can hear is the water dripping from your paddle, or the reflection.
And my father is the sun, and like the Indian before me, I am living to be one with the land and with the water, with the forest and the sky. Now I listen to the trees and I hear them as they live and die, living in the forest, living in the forest, living in the forest, way up in northern Michigan, living in the forest, living in the forest, living in the forest, and I'm alive, alive again.
Jack, we think about you a lot and hope all is well. Maybe we'll cross paths as we hike with Hiawatha. I hope so. And so ends another incredible trip deep into Michigan's wilderness. Truly a great getaway. After a full day in the wilderness, it's nice to know that there's a nice little restaurant close by to get a home-cooked meal. Located right next door to the Grey Wolf Lodge is the Three Season Cafe. We have heard that they had one of the best pasties in the UP, and that's saying a lot. The UP is where the pasty originated. It was made for the miners to be able to take a complete dinner in a small package down into the tunnels. Owner Tom Smith gave away a big secret to their pasty success. It was a family secret recipe that had been handed down for generations. Was it as good as we heard? You'll have to come up and judge for yourself. Well, our rustic getaway isn't done. It's time to follow in the footsteps of a true pioneer, Father Beriga, the Snowshoe priest. These folks treasure their heritage and honor it in many ways. One way is the shrine of the Snowshoe priest located on the shores of Indian Lake right next to the old Indian burial ground. Winch Dillard, a native of this area, takes us on a guided tour.
Great place to make a stop, whether you're by yourself or with the family, is out here on Indian Lake and at the Bishop Beriga Shrine. Now, Winch, you can tell us a little bit about this area and what is it exactly?
Well, it's a small piece of property that was donated to the city years ago, and they've steadily improved on it. This is the site of Bishop Beriga's first church in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Back in 1832.
Wow.
He landed here. There's a tribe of Chippewa Indians that lived here, and this is where they set up his first church.
Okay, first church. Now he's actually traveled all over the upper Midwest here.
Yep.
Through Minnesota, Wisconsin, all through upper Michigan. But this is the first church. That kind of surprised me.
Well, he started on Beaver Island and just kept steadily moving north.
Frederick Bariga was called the Apostles of the Ottawas and the Chippewas. Bariga was born and trained in Europe. He arrived to begin his work here on December 31st, 1830. During his lifetime, Bariga founded many missions in northern Michigan. The original Indian Lake Mission was built in anticipation of his first visit to the area in May of 1832. The chapel, built by local Chippewas, used traditional Indian construction methods and materials such as logs and bark. Based on historical information, the Indian Lake Mission was rebuilt in the early 1980s on the original mission site. In 1984, a grotto was constructed in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary. A 30-foot copper cross reaches high into the sky as the latest addition to the shrine. The site contains an Indian burial ground which contains the remains of Chief Ashwinamaki, his son, and other tribal members. The burial ground was built near the water facing the west, and a path from the water's edge was always kept clear. Upon the death of an Indian, the body was wrapped in a very heavy birch bark, tied with basswood cord, and then placed in a shallow grave over which was placed the spirit house. The houses varied in size and shape. A totem stick identified the deceased and gave any passerby pertinent information about the person. Because it was believed that the 4-day journey to the land of Penema was filled with peace and plenty, significant food and drink were placed in the spirit house, along with the body of the deceased person's dog or some other friendly animal. This is a very sacred and solemn place to the Native Americans, so when you visit, please show respect and stay at the perimeter and admire it from afar. The trees surround this place along with the sands of Indian Lake, and if you're quiet when the breeze blows, you will hear the spirits thanking you for your reverence. Located right across US 2, just off Main Street on the Manistee River, is the Mackinac Trail Winery. Embracing the rustic heritage of this town, it brings back a touch of civilization to a wonderful wilderness area. It keeps all the charm of small-town rural America located in an old fish house with Native American fishing boats still docked just down the river. It makes you feel like you're stepping back in time. Or maybe it's just the effects of the wine. Owner Ralph and Lori Stabile were gracious enough to take time out of their busy schedule to give us more information on the winery. Ralph explained how they made their wine and the awards they've won for its great taste.
Well, this year the big change was moving the winery to this location. We converted what used to be the wine tasting room. We've converted it now into the wine production facility, and the wine tasting room now is right out at the end of the water. It's a nice location. Buy a glass of wine and sit out and watch the sailboats come in.
People that come up here and are tasting wines, they can also come over here and actually watch you making the wine too.
We're busy all year, but when we move into the summer months, we're bottling. We tend to bottle as we need it, as opposed to bottling all up front in the early spring. We start on the whites sometime around March, April. We'll start on our early whites, and in July we'll start bottling some of our early reds. And, we'll bottle some of the late reds as we move closer into the late summer, early fall.
Now, we were talking to Lori earlier. She mentioned that you've won quite a few medals with your wines. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure, yeah. In the year 2005, we received some just phenomenal grapes. We bought brand new barrels for them. They were just a spectacular year for growing grapes. And, you know, brand new French oak, brand new American oak barrels. And in 2005, the first 2005 release came out early, and we won a gold medal with that. And then in this year, we sent some of the later stuff, the Cabernet Sauvignon, sent that in and got some gold medals on that, some bronze and silver medals throughout a lot of our different varieties that we make here. Wine's a great thing. If it never touches oak, it's still a good wine. But some wines that you process, Cabernets, the Chardonnays, the Pinots, they just grows so much in 12 months in an oak barrel. It's just it's a marvelous thing that occurs in that oak.
It's called Trader's Point right now. River runs out alongside here, waterfront's out here. There's a little business called the Upper Crust Cafe down here that we came down to visit. Just a nice area. It's got a couple other businesses down here and some condos out along the shoreline. Great place to stop in and eat. Come on in, we'll show you what it looks like. Inside and out there was a great view of the harbor from any seat in the Upper Crust restaurant. It has a comfortable atmosphere, serving plenty of home-cooked soups, sandwiches, and salads. You can pick up a souvenir or a good book on the UP or Manistee's history. Take it out and sit on the veranda overlooking the water. Pick up a sandwich and stop by for a bottle of wine from the large selection at the Mackinac Winery right across the river. Well, now that I've taken care of my appetite, it was time to walk across the street to a Manistee celebration. It was only fitting that this rustic getaway would end with a celebration of these pioneers and their indomitable spirit in an event called Folkfest. Folkfest is a festival of life and the pioneering spirit that built this town and still prevails today. The festival takes place on the second Saturday in July on the main street of Manistee. Art and craft booths display their diverse wares on one block, while the aroma of multicultural food booths tempt the participants down the street. I don't know how multicultural this hot dog was, but it looked delicious. The pickle on it was as big as the hot dog. Even the singers and their music took you back to a simpler time, something you could only find in the Upper Peninsula. We sat down and listened to the folk band as the town people chatted all around us. Speaking of friendly people, here's your typical Manistee resident, involved and ready to help. Didn't I just see you?
Let's tell us a little bit about what goes on down here.
22nd Annual Folkfest, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. On that end of the street, from here down to the sound stage, is all food. I mean, everything from funnel cake to Texas barbecue and all points in between. Yummy. Yummy. And from here north is vendors. Everything from soup to nuts, everything. I've made one turn down this way and I bought some mixes, you know, for sour cream and stuff like that, dip mixes and stuff like that. But they got crafts and all that stuff. I'm running the silent auction table today, and we have donated items for the chamber, donated items from our vendors, and some other things, just other things. And we have a live auction at 5:30. Music all day long today down at the soundstage. There was a band and street dance last night. There'll be 2 bands and street dance again tonight. Paul Bunyan Beer Garden, which is very popular. Second year that they've had a beer garden. Very popular. And look at all these people. And the weather's awesome today. It's not too hot. It's not too cold.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
Hey, I see the kids are all enjoying themselves.
Oh my!
Too.
Well, if you look down there, I mean, Abracadabra Jumps and arcade.
I know. I look down there and I'm thinking, I'd like to try that.
Yeah. Oh, this is the whole street's down there. It's this has been very popular.
Held each year on the second Saturday of July, it draws people from all over Michigan and other states. Local residents look forward to it. Visitors plan their vacations around it. Former residents time their trips home to coincide with it. From charming restaurants like Marley's, a local bar and grill right in the middle of town where you can get the best burger and a cold brew on a warm day. You'll see everybody there. The people are friendly and more than happy to share their history, from the historic water tower to the Little Red Lighthouse, and it's all located on the shores of beautiful Lake Michigan. Folkfest is truly an event for everyone. That's going to do it for a trip back in time. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and if you'd like to take a rustic getaway of your own and need information on wilderness kayaking, turn of the previous century festivals, or northern Michigan wine, there is a guide that includes all that and a whole lot more, and it's available from the number on your screen, or you can go to our website for downloadable guides, information, and video clips. If you would like a free DVD of today's show, there is a limited number available, and you can receive that by going to our website at greatgetaways.tv and filling out the form. So long, and we'll see you soon for another great getaway.